Let's get Ecclesiastes chapter 42, verse 6. Check this out.
Ecclesiastes chapter 42, verse 6.
We're going into the final stages. We're coming to a close. Go ahead.
Deliver all things in number and weight, and put all in writing that thou givest out or receivest in.
It says that's a receipt. That's inventory. Sirach says, deliver all things in number and in weight, and put it all in writing, what thou givest out, what you're giving away, and what you're taking in. It's a receipt. So it's saying, put every transaction in writing. Guys, what is marriage? A transaction, a business transaction. That means that marriage requires paper. If a dude come to you talking about some we're married in the spirit, and I say that the way that I do because it's happened, and we've seen it happen, where you got a dude who's legally married to an entirely other woman, and talking about some, well, we don't need to get no legally married. We don't need no document because we married in the spirit. Brothers and sisters. Receipts. Why? Because it says here, be not ashamed to inform the unwise and the foolish in the extreme age that contendeth with those that are young. You are young. And because you are young, people are going to try to slap you on the head and say, nah, we ain't agreed to that. That's not what we agreed to. Mm-hmm. Happened to Jacob.
Good point.
So when you make an agreement, like a marriage agreement, you get it in writing. The covenants, it's a contract that all parties sign. So that way, if somebody comes and tries to say later, nah, I didn't agree to that. Somebody try to come to you and be like, no, that's not what we agreed to. That's not what this, you signed it. You autographed it. It's notarized. It's a legal document. You signed that you will be married. That is the terms of agreement, the terms of marriage. So yes, in marriage, you take paper. Marriage is legal. You need to get that thing legalized. Ain't no, we married in the spirit. We don't need to get no paper. We don't need to write nothing down. None of that. Okay, so you want me to trust your word, is what you're saying.
Joe fall for that.
Jacob did 14 years taking somebody's word.
Mm-hmm.
The final steps of engagement towards marriage is that they must be legally documented and binding. This is to avoid any confusion in regards to agreements made between the father and the probable groom. And we're going to get into a little bit more detail as to what can go wrong by somebody not legally getting married. Because yes, there is marriage within this church. People get married within this church. Yes, there's documentation that we have of the marriage to protect ourselves and to protect our members. But the legal aspect protects you in another way. Marriage is a transaction. And for every transaction, there must be a receipt. Put a 1 in the chat if you're following me. Within the church, the deacon, the bishop, and the local elder over each marrying party will fill out a marriage contract that will be signed by the groom and the father of the bride, detailing the terms of the transaction. Remember, a little bit earlier, we went over the hierarchy and the way that it works in the church, right? You have your presiding elder, Elder Nathaniel. You have your local elders, right? Over certain regions, over the six continents, your 12 local council elders. And then you have your bishops under your bishops under them and your deacons under them. The deacons, each deacon is responsible for 3 families or 3 individuals, 3 men and their families. So that means that the deacon that the groom came from under and everybody above him, and the deacon that sister came from and everybody above her are going to get together and they're going to come up with a marriage contract with the father of the bride. and they're going to sit down with the father of the bride and the groom, and they're going to write up a marriage contract. The document will be notarized, making it legally binding, and it will be autographed. That's a thumbprint with ink. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
It will be notarized, and it will be autographed by the two parties as well as the bride to show that she consents to the marriage. So the bride will sign and autograph it as well. The local elder, the bishop, and the deacon will also sign the document. And the local elder will keep the original copy for the church. We will archive it and provide a certificate and a copy of the marriage contract to the couple and the father of the bride. So everyone will have a copy of the marriage contract, and the couple will receive a marriage certificate from the church. Make sense? Put a 1 in the chat if you're following me. This covers all the bases.
Yep.
That means that nobody's left in the dark. Every term of the transaction is all written in that contract, and everybody signed it. So if something goes down and somebody decides they want to get backhanded, we got 6 people on deck ready to have a conversation about what was in that contract. And should it be something that's a bigger issue, it'll climb up the ranks to the council elders, and it'll come to the presiding elder. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at this contract. We're going to look at the local elder, the bishop, and the deacon who all signed this contract. And we're going to say, what happened here? Nothing and no one slips through the cracks. The couple will also be required to become married underneath the state in which they reside or the country in which they live in order to avoid any possible loopholes or issues that can arise. Why do people need to get married legally? Because somebody can tell you that they're divorced or that they've never been married, and lo and behold, still married. Mm-hmm. You can't legally get married twice. See how the protocols we put in are put in to protect you? So you get married through the church. We document it. You get married legally. That's documented. You provide documented proof. That way we know that nobody in either of these situations is being backhanded. Sister done told you that she divorced or she's never been married. Lo and behold, got a whole family over here. Mm-hmm. Or dude, same thing. We got a whole dude, man, I'm divorced. Mm-hmm. Trust me, we've heard that one.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't need to get married legally because we're doing this according to the scriptures, according to the Most High. But I'm divorced though. Listen, we don't take nobody's word for nothing. And this is to protect the church, and it's to protect you. Mm-hmm. We are responsible for your soul. So we aren't going to allow anybody coming in here to jack that up. So after the marriage has taken place, which means that the church has binded the marriage, the marriage is legally binding according to the state or country in which you live. The daughter at that point, the bride, the wife, would now be transferred underneath the leadership that the man is currently under, which means that she was under this elder, bishop, and deacon. She now comes underneath the elder, bishop, and deacon of the man. Passing. We see this exact thing take place with Tobit and his wife Edna concerning their daughter Sarah and Tobias. See, y'all think we ain't had no proof about this. Go ahead and get that. Tobit chapter 7, verse 13. What did Raguel and Edna do? Read.
Tobit chapter 7, verse 13. Then he called his daughter Sarah, mm-hmm. and she came to her father. And he took her by the hand and gave her to be wife to Tobias, saying, behold, take her after the law of Moses.
Take her after the law of Moses. So Tobias came to Raguel and asked his permission to marry his daughter Sarah. Raguel, knowing the good reputation and name of Tobias, his father Tobit, gave his daughter to him. Notice how there was no proving process involved. He's like, listen, I already know that man. That's my cousin. And he gave his daughter to him. commanding him to take her after the law of Moses. Now, a lot of people think that this means, oh, the procedure. Take her after the law of Moses. It means that you do it based off the procedure in Moses. No, that's not what this means. This meant that Tobias had his blessing if if he married her under a certain doctrinal understanding and law. How many of you guys ever read it that way or understood it that way? See, a lot of times they say take her after the law of Moses. It just means, oh, take her according to the law of Moses, just procedure-wise. No, it's a condition. Him saying take her after the law of Moses is a condition. Notice he could have said any God. He could have said take her after the law of Ra. Take her after the law of Jesus. Take her after the law of Zeus. No, he said take her after the law of Moses. It's a condition. Raguel could have said to take his daughter after any law, tradition, or custom. Instead, he chose Moses based off of what he knew about his cousin Tobit and his manner, the way he behaved. This was not a request. It was part of the agreement. If you take my daughter, you need to take her under the doctrinal understanding that we know about Moses. That means that every law that's in there, you need to be keeping. That means that you need to treat her according to the law of Moses. It's a doctrinal condition. If I find out that you're serving any other God other than the one that was given by the law of Moses, it's off. We're not doing it. It's a condition. It was a requirement. When they take paper, that was written in the contract. He's taking her after the law of Moses. That wasn't procedure. That was a condition. He's like, if you're going to marry my daughter, you need to marry her serving the same God that your father serves. And if at any point you decide to stop serving that God, it's done. Contract's void. Hence why 1 Corinthians, remember what it said, if the husband be unbelieving, or if the wife be unbelieving and they're not happy to dwell together, they can go their separate ways and not be tied to one another. Boom! If one decides that they don't want to keep the law of Moses, you took her after the law of Moses. If you decide at one point, oh man, I don't think I want to do this no more. I think I want to be a Buddhist now. He violated the contract. Therefore, the marriage is no longer legally binding. You bring that, we find out that that's the case, and you guys want to go forward in separation and divorce. If this person, listen, he ain't keeping the law of Moses no more. He's leaving. He ain't doing this. Bet, bring us contract. Boom, void. Renotarized. Everybody signed it. Same thing again. When he said take her after the law of Moses, that was a condition. He could have said to take her after anything else. He said take her after the law of Moses. He was saying he needed to deal with his daughter according to the law of Moses. This was a promise of conduct. This is the way that you will conduct yourself with my daughter. I won't accept anything less than this if you're going to marry my daughter. Based on this promise, he blessed their union. Based on that promise, he blessed their union. Notice he didn't say anything else. You take her after the law of Moses. I'm not asking you for money. I'm not asking you for cattle. I'm not asking you for this. I'm not asking you for that. I'm not asking you for service. I'm asking that you take her after the law of Moses. And if you can do that, I bless the union. Read.
Take her after the law of Moses and lead her away to thy father.
He said, and lead her away to thy father. Read.
And he blessed him. Verse 14. And called Edna his wife and took paper.
And took what?
Took paper.
And took what?
Took paper.
Read.
And did write an instrument of covenants.
And did write an instrument of what?
Covenants.
People, the definition of covenant is legal contract. Look it up. The definition of a covenant is a legal contract. So he called Edna, said, bring me some paper and an instrument to write with. And what he did was he wrote an instrument of, he wrote a covenant, an instrument of covenants. This is what he's promising to do if he's going to take my daughter. Read.
And sealed it.
And he put a seal on it. It was notarized. Legally binding. So for all those people that talk about something, we don't need no contract, you don't need to get no legal papers about. Nah, none of that. You take paper, you write an instrument of covenants, you make a legal contract, you sign it, and you seal it. That's exactly what this church is going to be doing for every single marriage. No shortcuts, no nothing.